Hello, this is Tim Law with Plan It Forward Coaching and Self-Reliance You. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Plan It Forward Coaching. Appreciate it very much. Today, I'm very, very happy to have a young man that I've known actually since middle school, and very proud to have known him that long. One of the really, really good guys around, 𝙈𝙀𝘿𝘄𝘼, and I'd like him to kind of tell his story, his background, and he's currently a Rockstar Middle School social studies teacher over at Northeastern Middle School. No pressure, Eric. Okay, all good. He's always sneaking up on me, trying to put wrestling moves on me to no avail, but
now.
that's just the way it goes.
Too quick now. You taught me well.
So go ahead, Eric.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I was born in Hazleton, and then I moved down to York County at the end of 2006. Started wrestling in 8th grade, and that's where I started, getting involved with you, talking to you a lot. Graduated from Northeastern High School. First, I went to the University of Pittsburgh for a little bit, but I wasn't really my thing. Didn't like it too much, and the price of things kind of influenced my decision to leave. And ended up graduating from York College in 2018 with a degree in secondary education social studies. And then I was lucky enough to get a job where I went to middle school, Northeastern Middle School. And then I got involved with the junior high wrestling team there, and I've been coaching it past couple of years.
Very good. Excellent. So what would you say, Eric, having kind of that high school, college background, as well as being involved with interscholastic wrestling, as well as with, coaching, now you're on the other side of things. What are some of the key lessons you've learned that you can apply to, the kids that you're, working with and you're seeing every day?
You just got to keep working. You got to keep working, keep grinding. Things will fall through. And even if you're doing everything right, it might not be clicking in that moment. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that. A kid does everything right, but when they go out, whether it's a tennis match or on the wrestling mat, and it doesn't go their way. But if they keep showing up, keep working hard, things will usually work out for them in the end.
Sure. And I definitely agree with that, Eric. One of the things that I've commented on with some of the other interviewers that I've had, having an advantage of being involved with a sport, so it's tough a sport as wrestling, or band, music, extracurricular activities. This whole COVID challenge, it's almost like giving us a suit of armor. This has been a challenging year. 2020 was for pretty much everybody, but I think we as athletes, student athletes, coaches, etc., because we've been through some of these extreme up and downs, that we're probably a little bit better adapted to some of these challenges than a lot of people that don't get themselves and push themselves, deeper into some of these events that they are involved with. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's coming from the little bit of the wrestling background, just the discipline in that and carrying over, with that too, you never know when something's going to come up, that's going to disrupt your routine, whether it's dealing with an injury, feeling a little sick, something like that. You got to adapt, you got to overcome it.
Sure. Definitely. How about who are some of the people over there at the middle school that have been real helpful for you in the, transitioning from high school to college student to, getting the job as the social studies teacher there in the with the 8th graders in the middle school?
Definitely Dave Raymond, who was actually my history teacher in 8th grade. And now I'm lucky enough to work across the hall from him. He's been a great mentor in helping me, and hopefully one day I'll be able to be as good of a teacher as him. Mr. 𝙈𝙀𝘿𝘄𝘼, the school principal, another great guy, great leader at the school, learned a lot from. And then my friend Ryan Hauk, who's a tech ed teacher and I coach with too. He was a couple years ahead of me in school. He's been a great friend and mentor in his school as well. But the whole staff there is great. It's a really great place to work. Love coming in. I don't dread Monday mornings. I like coming in the classroom.
I've been fortunate to be in the middle school, as you know, as a substitute teacher in the high school as well, and getting to know these kids. You watch these young kids as seventh, eighth graders, and then they become, young men and women by the time they're juniors and seniors in high school. And just seeing the change, how they kind of come out of their shyness and that type of thing. It's just very, very cool to see the growth and everything.
Yeah, well, too, somebody else I work with, Russ Blake, too. And
Mhm.
first time I met him, I was a goofy looking kid throwing shot put for the middle school team. And, now I get to work with him every day. So,
Mhm.
another great guy at the school.
Good. Well, you guys, you certainly have a good group of people up there and a good team. If you could give any specific advice as far as, let's say, these students that are going on to college, whether it has to handling the debt or the degree or that type of thing, what would you reflect back on as far as helping them realize? Because one of my biggest concerns is I see too many kids going off to school. They're not really sure what they want to do. They go off to an expensive college. They get a questionable degree, and it really is, in a lot of debt, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So again, you're much closer to that situation. What would your thoughts be, Eric, on giving them some advice on that?
Yeah, you're 100% right. And, go in there with a plan, and really know what you're getting into for it. So when I first went to college and I got in a pit, and it was like, I wanted to go to a big school, but I didn't really have a plan on what I wanted to do. I was double majoring in history and political science, and it was, I liked those things a lot.
Mhm.
But when I was looking at the job opportunities coming out, it just wasn't there for me.
Right.
And then it was one of those things, well, maybe I could get into teaching, because I really liked that. I liked helping kids, involved in sports and things like that, and loved history. But then it was, all right, do I stay here and spend $25,000 a year, or do I transfer to a school like your college, get a great education, and save some
Mhm.
money on it?
Sure.
And even there, when I went to York, I still originally kept that double major, and then I transitioned to the secondary education social studies. But for a little bit there, I had three majors. So I'm like, I think I'm 4 classes away from really graduating with 3 different degrees
Wow.
on
Wow.
it. And I just look back, and in one way it was good because I was able to learn a lot.
Sure.
But when I think about all that money,
Yeah.
that went away, and I didn't see any benefit from. And
Uh-huh.
that was too, I feel like part of my generation was, just go to college.
Yeah.
So it was nothing was ever pushed early on with, make sure you have something in mind. It was
Mhm.
just go to college. That was always the goal. And I look at some of my other friends that didn't go to college, that just went right into the workforce, and they have jobs that they love, and they're making
Sure.
good money doing it, and they don't have to worry about all this debt. I know
Mhm.
some people graduating from school that are 6 figures in debt, and they're not able to get a job in their major. There's some things that are great, like I love history, but I probably just wouldn't get a straight history degree.
Mhm.
You know, you,
Sure.
you
Sure.
gotta you gotta make those hard decisions
Mhm.
on what's something you're kind of interested in, and what's something where you could come out and actually start making money in a field that, number one, you like, and number two, you're pretty good at.
Right, right. Certainly agree there. As far as, again, I know you've been involved with coaching a lot with the middle school wrestlers, got your hand in the high school program with wrestling. I've helped out with some, track and field, that kind of thing. What thoughts or advice would you give to some of the student athletes there at Northeastern? Maybe the middle school wrestlers or that type of thing. What are your thoughts there?
It's kind of weird. I was just talking to 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝘄𝘼 the other day
Hmm.
about it, which, I was a kid that tried to do everything. I
Hmm.
did a lot of sports, and today I feel like that middle athlete is kind of going away. Where
Hmm.
there's a kid that might come out for a sport that would, you know, maybe not that serious, just something to do,
Hmm.
and you have them going against this kid that wrestles year round in it.
Right, right.
And I feel like that middle ground is kind of going away.
Hmm.
We're getting this bigger gap between, the upper echelon of the sport, and kind of your lower end guys, and there's not that middle there.
Hmm.
uh, but it would be, keep training, keep working year round at it, even if it's not something even if it's not the same sport. I think too many guys are just specializing in one thing
Mhm.
year round with that. And today it's really easy to become stagnant in, with all these other different things. And,
Sure.
some are great. Some of these technology things are great, but it's also easy to just to get locked into the doldrums of, coming home after school and playing Xbox instead of going
Mhm.
home and, hitting the weights,
Yeah,
doing
yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. One of the things that concerns me, Eric, is like, since you brought it up, and I understand technology is here. It's here. I just try to encourage students and adults, use it for productivity. Okay, this hours and hours of gaming or social media.
Mhm.
It's leading to obesity. It's leading to, in certain cases, depression. Our bodies were designed over the eons to move and everything like that. And the idea that people are not moving, not exercising, not lifting weights, and these are up and coming kids that if they will work at it, can really, develop themselves very well, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I
Yeah.
couldn't agree with you more.
And going back to your question too, it's, you got to keep an eye on the end goal here,
Mhm.
especially with like a sport like wrestling, how the amount of wrestlers that actually go on and compete at the next level.
Sure.
I mean, you got the studs like you out there, but the majority of guys when they graduate from high school, that's going to be it for wrestling.
Uh-huh. Right.
And wrestling's not something where you're going to go play. You're going to have a pickup wrestling match with
Right.
some random people in the park when you're in your 30s, but it's those life lessons from the sport that could really carry over.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
especially that discipline.
Yeah.
I
So
think,
besides the discipline, what other life lessons, Eric, do you see coming from the sport of wrestling or any other sport for that matter?
taking care of yourself
Hmm.
is a big one,
Yeah.
and just keeping that going. Cause I mean, I know it even happened to me, I was super active, had a good workout routine, and then getting away from that,
Hmm.
it's tough to get back into. It's a
Yeah.
lot easier, and it's definitely a lot better for you in the long run when you just stay consistent with those things.
Sure. Yeah. One of the things, and I was explaining to some of the middle school kids the other day when I was in, was I call it the 1440 project. We have 1440 minutes every single day. And the idea, I tried to encourage the kids and anybody else that I talk to, take 40 minutes a day to move, whether you're walking, whether you're running, whether you're lifting weights, just the idea that you're doing that. Any one of us, if we will prioritize, can do 40 minutes every single day. And if you do that, that's 400 minutes every 10 days, 1200 minutes in a month, 30-day month. And it's so extremely doable. And again, it adds so much to our fitness, to our health, to our well-being, kicking off the endorphins in the brain so that we feel better. It just makes such a difference. And that when we're more fit, we have more energy. We have more energy, we get more done. So
And, something too, I
yeah.
remember from you, my senior year, I think you started working with the program a little bit more, and it was just that visualization of stuff, turning off the phone,
Mhm.
just think about what you're going to do, picture it happening in your mind.
Yeah.
And that was I just made me feel better,
Yeah.
about, and it's still something I do now with, before I go to bed, just turn off the phone, getting
Mhm.
away from the computer, getting away from the TV, and then just think, about the next day.
Yeah.
If it flies from walking in the classroom in the morning to, the beginning of practice to end the practice, and just thinking, and getting mentally set
Mhm.
for the next day.
Sure. Well, there's so many, as you know, with all the screens and phones and everything, there's so many different distractions. And to be able to go off, as they say, go off into the silence, shut all that stuff down, and then use your own mind to visualize and figure what you want to do as far as your day is concerned. There's a great saying. It says, "Never start the day before being finished with it," meaning exactly what you just said, where you actually go through and okay, here's what's going to happen. Period one, two, so on and so forth. Okay, then I go on to my junior high wrestling practice. Then I'm home with my wife, that kind of thing, and just kind of just get the whole day set up, well ahead of time. Certainly agree with that. And that visualization, going off in the silence, is in our own minds, is just so incredibly important.
And it's something too with, kids I see now with, they tell me the screen time they have on their phone,
It's
and
insane.
It's
insane.
horrifying. And I just know too, like, because I mean, it's not, I fall into these things too. I catch myself looking at my phone more than I should. And I don't think it's good for your head a lot of times. I think the tool, it could definitely be used for good, but especially stuff on social media, you'll get on there and it's like everybody hates everybody in the world. And then you'll go out in the real world and it'll be, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I know even I work with people I think politically different of, I have
Mhm.
friends that think that, on both sides of stuff.
Sure.
You get along fine, but you check Twitter and you think that's impossible to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Eric. And I'm hoping to, speaking of that, when you're talking about the screens and phones, I'm in the process of trying to line up a interview with Tom Kirsting, the gentleman that wrote the book Disconnected, a clinical psychologist friend of mine out of New Jersey. He's been on all the major networks talking about the challenges of too much screen time. It's actually rewiring the brains, especially of these kids and teens whose brains are still developing. So I'm really hoping I can get that interview set up with him, because if I can, that is going to be very, very informative to a lot of people. Eric, this has been super. What if people want to get a hold of you? What's the best way as far as reaching you, whether it's an email, phone, or both, whatever you want to put in there?
Yeah, I guess email is probably the best way. Check that
Mhm.
most frequently, and that's my last name, 𝙈𝙀𝘿𝘄𝘼 @anybobcats.org.
Okay, very good, very good. And if you could just stay with us afterwards here, Eric, I'd like to be able to talk to you afterwards. And again, just please reminding you people, please sign up for my YouTube channel, Playing It Forward Coaching. There's a ton of great videos on there, like this one we just did with Eric, as far as giving good advice to juniors and seniors in high school, as well as people that are already in college and beyond, and you just have to keep, pushing, doing the best you can, and, just do all you can there. So, Eric, thank you very much. Any last parting thoughts that you have, or?
Thank you, Coach. And it's just every time I see you, I just can't help but picture and being in that Southwestern gym with you.
I'm gonna have to stop the recording now.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop right now.